But yes, you can have a bunch of the same character in one. There'll be spoilers in this episode. If you haven't played the Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, or Goodbye Despair, or V3, and you don't know who survived. That's why the thumbnail was so kind of wonky, blurry, kind of, you know. If you haven't played the games, then you don't want to be spoiled by who comes out on top at the end. Viewer, beware. You're in for a scare. Anywho, now that that's out of the way, good day, good people. It is another fine day in the year of the Aviator. And today, we're playing around with the Danganronpa Simulator. This was released on April Fool's Day. Yes. It's got no real logic in it yet, so I'm just kind of playing around with it. Once it develops more, you might see it as a series. It might be interesting. At the end of this, I'll show you some of the things you can do with the setup. It's well done. And once they add logic, I think it's going to be very well done, and I'm just excited. I'm excited about it. But hopefully, you guys also really wanted to see a Survivor's Hunger Games, which is probably going to come, but for right now, we're going to do a Survivor's Danganronpa. That's right, we're taking all these survivors from the 3 base games and we are going to put them in a killing game. Yes, one more time. In this killing game, I've set it up so only 3 people can survive at most. There's also a possibility that they could vote wrong in the class trial and only the killer survives. That's why this simulation's kind of terrifying. So, this is the part where I've played around with it and I would tell you guys to pause and tell me, first of all, if you think a single killer is going to get away with it, or if you think we'll have 3 survivors. Otherwise, based on that, tell me who you think's gonna win, and who you think's going to either be the killer who gets away with it, or the 3 people who you think are going to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, let's pause it right now. Go ahead, hit the pause, go down, you gotta go into the comments. It's a different setup, but we gotta still pause it, and you guys gotta still hit those comments, because I'm gonna still be going through to see what you guys said, to see who you voted for, because I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna say, hey, you had a great vote, but my vote was... Great, you guys paused it. I need to stop that. I need to stop doing that, because some of you guys are like, thought the video froze. Oops. I've done a couple simulations, and the killer getting away with it hasn't happened too often, so it's happened a handful of times, which I was like, oh, that can happen. Oh my. I don't think it's gonna happen this time. I do think the 3 survivors are going to be Fuihiko, Himiko, and Kazuichi. I think everyone from the original game is going to kick the bucket. But that's what I think. Hopefully you guys have your picks, and if you can see Yasuhiro, if you can see right down there, Yasuhiro, his last name isn't there because, well, for some reason, I think his name is too long to fit into the simulator, or it has some weird character. I'm not sure. They'll fix it in the future. I'll probably go to their Discord and post about it, or someone else can. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the simulation going. Proceed. A body is found, and the Hope Boy is dead. But who killed him? Guys, who do you think killed him? I'm gonna say it was a true act of betrayal, and Kyoko ended his life. Let's proceed. A class trial. After the investigation, here's the votes. Akane votes for Maki. Hina votes for Sonya. Togami votes for Yasuhiro. Fuihiko votes for Akane. Hajime votes for Junko, who's not a survivor, but I stuck her in here because killing games, they need a good old Junko Enoshima. Himiko votes for Togami. Izuru votes for Byakuya. Junko votes for Maki, Kazuichi votes for Hajime, Kyoko votes for Junko, Maki votes for Himiko, Shuichi votes for Togami, Sonya votes for Maki, Toko votes for Himiko, and Hiro votes for Kazuichi. Let's see It was a tie in the votes between Togami and Maki. Someone was randomly selected, and it was Togami, and he was the killer. Luckily, the random selection didn't pick Maki, or Togami would have gotten away with it. Let's proceed. So we lost 2 characters. Hopefully you didn't pick those 2. I told you, Trigger Happy Havoc's not gonna have a good time. I told you, I called it from the get-go. Let's proceed. Who's gonna die? Kyoko is Dunzo, and it's a double murder because Fuyuhiko's gone too. There goes one of my picks for the survivors. Let's proceed. Who could have done it? Who done it? I feel like this is Junko's doing. She loves the double despair. Let's see. Akane votes for Himiko. Hina votes for Hajime. Hajime votes for Junko. Himiko, see, Hajime's, he knows it was Junko. I know too. Himiko votes for Hiro. Azuru votes for Shuichi. Junko votes for Kazuichi. Kazuichi votes for Maki. Maki votes for Kazuichi. Shuichi votes for Toko. Sonia votes for Hina. Toko votes for Junko. And Hiro votes for Azuru. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a tie between Junko, who I thought did it, and Kazuichi, but apparently it was actually Kazuichi. He was the killer, and he faces his own special ultimate execution. Let's proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to, 11 classmates. Let's proceed. Who's gonna die? I feel like Toko's not gonna make it out of this round, but let's see. It's Junko. Junko's dead. I don't believe that. But let's proceed. We have a cast of votes after this investigation. Akane thinks it was Hiro, Hina thinks it was Toko, Hajime thinks it was Akane. Himiko votes for Hiro, Zuru votes for Himiko, Maki votes for Akane, Shuichi votes for Maki, Sonia votes for Hajime, Toko votes for Azuru, and Hiro votes for Himiko. It looks like it might be a tie between a couple people. Yeah, 3 people, that's what I thought. There's a tie between Akane, Himiko, and Hiro. Himiko was randomly selected, and she was the killer, and she's executed. Wow, the ultimate mage killed Junko. I feel like she should get a medal for that instead of dying, but okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're down to your final 9 participants. Who's not gonna make it out of this round? I'd like Sonia to survive, but I feel like something bad's about to happen to her. It's Akane! Oh no! And an investigation begins to discover clues about the killer. We have 8 people, they're all gonna vote. Let's see who they think done it. Hina votes for Hajime, Hajime votes for his alter ego, Izuru, Azuru votes for Hiro, Maki votes for Azuru, Shuichi votes for Toko, Sonia votes for Shuichi, Toko and Hiro vote for Azuru. Hopefully Azuru did it. Azuru did it. He had the most votes, he was the killer, and he is executed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the 2 Hajimes out of this case. We've got Hina, Hajime, Maki, Shuichi, Sonia, Toko, and Hiro. Interesting. That's a good mix of all the 3 games. That's a good mix of all the 3 games. I didn't expect that. Maybe one person from each game is going to make it, but maybe not. There is still, really, technically, the only hope for a game shutting out the others is the Hina, Toko, and Hiro. But let's see, let's proceed. There goes Toko, there goes that dream. She's dead. Let's see. I feel like Maki probably killed her. I think it was like a battle of the killers. And so does Hina. Hina voted for Maki. But Hajime votes for Hina, Maki votes for Hajime, Shuichi votes for Hina, Sonia votes for Hiro, and Hiro votes for Hajime. It looks like 2 votes Hajime, 2 votes Hina, and 1 vote. So it's gonna be a tie between Hina and Hajime. Hajime was selected. Hajime was the killer right after his homeboy, not really homeboy, but other half, Izuru, and he's executed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last chapter, chapter 6. Are you ready to see who survives? Who's going to die this time? In fact, we could only have 2 survivors if this is a double death. We have Hina, Maki, Shuichi, Sonia, and Hiro. Sonia is the only member still remaining from Danganronpa 2. If she dies, it's all game over for Danganronpa 2. But let's see who survives. Proceed. Hero dies. Poor Hero. You've had it rough, man. You've had it rough and you couldn't survive the last chapter. We're gonna miss you. But who done it? I think it was Hina. Your last comrade from your same game. But... ooh. Wow. So, Hina votes for Sonya, Maki votes for Hina, Shuichi votes for Sonya, and Sonya votes for Shuichi. If Sonya didn't do it, then whoever did it is getting away with it, and the other three die. But let's see. Sonya receives the most votes, Sonya is executed, everyone else escapes. Ladies and gentlemen, your three survivors, Hina, Maki, and Shuichi. So, Danganronpa 3 almost had the clean sweep, actually. If Himiko would have survived, which is interesting because they had the least amount of survivors. Huh. Interesting. That's so interesting. Himiko, you gotta do better in these simulations. You seem to always get shafted no matter what situation it is. But let's proceed. There's the results. 3 survived. You can see the killers and the killed. And it's been a good, it's a good simulator. It still has that Danganronpa feel. It does need logic. I'd like for them to like logic a mastermind in there as well. I don't really know how that would work, but that would be interesting to see. Let's go ahead and proceed, and I'll show you guys how this is set up. There's total votes. Hajime had a lot of votes, and there were a lot of ties too, to be honest. Let's proceed. There's the summary. Final survivors, who died and who did what. It gives a good little narrative of what happened, just like the Hunger Games simulator does at the end. But we have a couple things that you can do. So like you can adjust the size all the way up to 48 players, which is a lot. So yeah, that's a ton. But you can also adjust the number of survivors. You could make it so it goes to only 1 survivor, or you can make it go to freaking everyone survives, which I don't think would actually start the game, or I think it would immediately end. So there's that. That's how that goes. You can have a guaranteed killer gets executed or not. So if you want it possible for the killer to get away with it, you put it on no. If the killer always gets executed at the end of the chapter, then you put it at yes. I like the fact that the killer could actually get away with it. That was one of my favorite parts of the simulation, or this simulator. And that's the gist of it. It's also really neat that they have all of the photos for all of the games. They don't have the anime ones, but they have it for all the games. So if you go to advanced edit, it's really neat. It's really neat and nice, but custom edit is easier to put together. You can just drop down, select player, you can see alphabetical order. If you wanted to stick Celeste in this Hunger Games, you could go over here and click Celeste and her picture pops up right there. I don't think you could have a whole thing of Celeste, but you might actually be able to. Let's see. Let's see about that. Can you just have a bunch of number 48? Yeah, that's also what I was talking about. Hero, for some reason, his name is bugged. I don't think it's too long, because I don't think he has the longest name of the franchise, but he might. Like, Celeste's name is definitely longer, right? I don't know. But yes, you can have a bunch of the same character in one. That's interesting. That's something that I didn't think about. But that's something you can do. This is a good simulator. It's very powerful. It has a lot of capabilities for what you can do to set it up based on like size and survivors. So I advise you guys to go ahead and play around with it. I'll put the link in the description. But I just wanted to touch on this. A lot of you told me about it. A lot of you wanted me to check it out. I've checked it out. I'll probably use it in the future. It'll be a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, your United States Aviator taking off in this fine day, in the year of the Aviator. Toodaloo, flight crew.